Hello, hello. How are you today? How are you today? We're just getting started. I'm just going to do a few tech issues here, and let me just get going with our tech. I'm trying something new. I was trying LinkedIn Live today, but I don't think that's going to work. So let me just get this going. So I'm hoping it looks like Instagram today. Ray, I'm trying YouTube should be live. Are we live with YouTube yet? Oh, there we go. We're live with YouTube, and now we should be live with Facebook. All right, wonderful. We're all here. Hooray. Well, thank you for joining me for another chat. I wish we had a fireplace so we could sit around and chat around the fireplace. But if you are joining from either Instagram or YouTube or Facebook, just drop in the chat. Come say hello to me as I try to kind of steer all of these different areas. This is why people have assistants that do this, huh? I'm just going to say hello in each of the platforms, and then we're going to get right to it. So if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. I'd love to answer any questions you may have. And just going to say hello in all the chats. And if you are ready, we were going to also talk about continuing our conversation about the Q&A, continuing our conversation about strength-based teaching and strength-based parenting that we talked about. So we started a couple of weeks ago with talking about how to parent your child using a strengths-based approach. And then last week we talked about teaching and how to use a strengths-based teaching approach. And now I want to talk about those two if you still have any questions, but also talk about the importance of teachers and parents working together. So how important that is when parents and teachers work together. And if you stick around to the end, I've got a freebie for you. So I've got a freebie. Would love to know how to chat into YouTube, though. Wonder if I can do it this way. Okay. Sorry, I am trying to figure out all the tech. I'll be a whiz at this soon enough, but I don't know if LinkedIn is working. But if LinkedIn was there, I think there was the code that you could come into from the events tab. All right, so I do not see how to chat with you guys in YouTube. I don't know. I will figure that out. All right. So if you're here, come say hello. I'd love to, say hello to everyone. And if you have questions, please either drop them in the chat, or even more technology, I could figure out how to get you on stage with me. I don't know if it's called a stage, but on camera with me. But what I thought I'd start off with today is a story. So some of you know, well, let me back up. My name is Lori Bloyer. For those of you that don't know, I'm a learning and life success coach, and I work in a holistic, integrative way. And I also work with the neurology of, so I call myself a quirky life coach because, let's face it, I'm quirky. I didn't wear my quirky earrings today, did I? Anyway, so that's who I am. I've been a teacher for over 20 years. I've taught almost every grade possible. I have a neuroquirky son myself, and I am also neuroquirky. So I come from a wealth of experience, and then I'm certified as a learning and life success coach. And I've decided to dive into working with kids, teens, their parents, and those that have mostly ADHD or anxiety or stress. Those are the areas that I really focus on, but it's kind of one big umbrella. And as some of you that know me already know that I like to flip the labels, right? My big position right now is about flipping the labels and turning those labels into positive statements. So we may say ADHD, but it's really a big umbrella, right? The umbrella of executive functioning skills, or the umbrella of, anxiety and stress and ADHD, and the other quirks fit into that. But it's really just the holistic, who is this child, right? Who is this person, and how can we best support them? And so I work very, closely figuring out who this child is, no matter the label. So that's why I really love flipping it, and also just turning these labels into something positive, so that society see us as a positive, and not trying to fit into a neurotypical hole, but that letting our neural quirks shine. Because wow, what a wonderful world this is when we have our neural quirks shining. So I said I was going to start with a story. So let me start with a story. A dad came to me feeling frustrated because his daughter was constantly getting in trouble for being distracted or off task. Some of us actually might feel like that. They might know this story, right? He said she was always asking questions, even about things that weren't related to the lesson, and it was driving her teacher crazy. We talked about reframing her curiosity as a strength rather than a problem. At the next meeting with the teacher, the dad shared examples of how his daughter's questions often led to fascinating discoveries at home, like researching how roller coasters work or why certain foods change color when cooked. The teacher then saw her curiosity in a new light and decided to give her a question journal to jot down her thoughts during class. Not only did this help his daughter engaged in class, something us teachers love, but it also gave the teacher valuable insight into her unique way of thinking. The teacher even started as her questions as discussion prompts for the whole class. This small shift made a big difference in how the teacher and the student connected and in her confidence. So there you go. That's one example of flipping the script, right? Flipping the label, flipping the way we look at children. And especially, I'm talking as kind of two hats here, right? As a former teacher and a parent, and then also as a parent and a former teacher, and kind of combining those. So how we really look at who this child is in the classroom and changing that, but also collaborating with the parents, and how can the parents join us in this quest? Because the reality is we're here because of the child, right? We only are here because we want what's best for the child. The teacher's here because they want what's best for children. That's why they got into teaching. As you've all heard, teachers don't get paid a ton of money. They do it because they care. And parents do it because it's their baby, of course. So how can we create a working relationship where teachers and parents use the strength of the child to really help this child succeed and thrive? And even if you're a homeschooling parent, how is a homeschooling parent, or even in the co-ops, can they start to work with children to help them thrive, right? Really looking at the strengths. And so if we start to reframe this, It's such an amazing, wonderful experience, right? The world will be so amazing if we can change this script. So, what do I mean by that? Well, as in the story, right? The parent shared what's working at home. The teacher shared or tried that in the classroom and then shared what was working about that strategy in the classroom and used it to benefit all children in the classroom, and especially that student. And the parent can then use what benefits the teacher in the classroom for what's working at home. So if you collaborate with the teacher, you can get a lot of information. You can share a lot of information. And I have a special bonus for you at the end of this. So I want you to stick around to the end. I have a gift for you to help with all of this. But this collaboration can really come forward with, you got to work on it. Okay. I'm just going to be honest, right? It's going to take empathy from both sides of the coin, right? The perspectives, right? So the parent, really, really please be empathetic to everything that the teacher is juggling. However many students they have in the classroom, it's probably a good question to ask. If they have 25, 30, 35, sometimes there's a lot. And most, if not half, I would say, of the classrooms nowadays have children with certain needs. So really helping the teacher with your child. So creating that relationship is so important. Then teacher being empathetic to what the parent is going through, right? They're working long hours. They have a child that might have a lot of energy and needs to run around a lot, and they're trying the best they can, but they only see the child in a home environment. They're not seeing the child from your perspective, teacher, in this classroom environment. I know my son was very different. So hard for me because what he was exhibiting at school was not what he was exhibiting at home. I couldn't recreate it. I couldn't really work on it because I wasn't seeing it. So I really did have to force some situations that made him anxious in order to get what they were seeing at school so that I could help the teacher and come up with strategies as well. Now, I'm going to breathe for a second here and just check in on YouTube that I don't even know how to see the chat, and Instagram, and just make sure I'm not neglecting anyone if you have written comments in the chats. Now Instagram has gone black. I don't know what that means. Why is Instagram black? I don't know. Okay. All right, let's come back. So empathy. So definitely empathy will help. Then also working with the teacher and the parent, like when and how is a good way to communicate? Should we use like a shared document? And a lot of this I have also said in my upcoming podcast. It's number 10 podcast or episode on the Quirky Nexus podcast. So a lot of this will be there as well, but I wanted to just deepen the conversation here if we have other topics to talk about. So when and how are you going to communicate with each other? It could be a digital document. It could be a journal that you pass back and forth. Those quick hellos and goodbyes in the parking lot aren't really set up for success because there's so much going on. Teachers have to worry about the safety of all the children. They can't just have a little mini conference with you. You might be, in a car line and lots of cars behind you. So probably not the best time then. I suggest either a digital document or journal that you pass back and forth. I know that happened with my son's teachers and I. We would pass a journal back and forth. And I shared this in the podcast. It was hard. It was hard sometimes to read what was in the journal. It was hard to not be able to answer and have that back and forth conversation. But the journal at least let me know, at least I was kept up to date, and at least I had a way of talking to the teacher. So I strongly suggest you figure out a communication strategy for working with the teacher and the parent, depending on who's listening. So working with the parent and the teacher, how are you guys going to communicate? But be reasonable, right? You don't want, okay, I expect daily communication. That's not going to work. Plus, you need time to try out the strategies, right? So weekly or bi-weekly, like, how is this working? How is the strategy? What's working inside the classroom? What's working at home? How can we help each other out for what's working for this child, right? We really want to keep it focused on the child, but focused on the child's strengths. So last week I talked about some ways to frame that. I can talk about reframing that as well. I can go over some of those again as well if you guys want me to. So yeah. Then, big pause. Then I wanted to talk about what happens if it doesn't go so well, right? What happens if the parents, it's just the communication is breaking down, right? What do you do? Well, you do what you do for your child, right? You do what as a holistic neurogrowth learning and life success coach does. What I do is I teach strategies to work on the whole big picture. So you want to model for your child for sure, whether you're a teacher in the classroom or a parent. You want to model, right? First, take a deep breath, right? Remember to be empathetic. Really think about the other situation. And then maybe write down what you want to say before you say it, right? So maybe something isn't working well and you're frustrated. And so you want to barge into the classroom or call the parent up and you want to have that conversation. But write it down first and kind of talk your thoughts out through pen and paper or however you choose to write it down and see if that will let you organize your thoughts better so that you can have a more productive conversation. Again, modeling this for your child is amazing. Like, okay, I'm really upset. I'm going to take a breath. I'm going to be empathetic who they are. I'm going to write down what's frustrating to me. And then I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to set up a time or write in the journal or on the shared doc, however it is that you're sharing information. So frustrating times will happen. And I just really hope that you are proactive as we are real, as I am. My platform here is really focusing on strength-based parenting and teaching and working with children in that way. I really want you to be that way as you have these conversations. So I'm hoping it doesn't get to the case where you have to bring in administration to have conversations with you, or you have to have somebody present, whether it's the school counselor or if you have to bring in a coach or a occupational therapist or speech therapist or somebody else to be in the picture. That is okay. It's good to have support for sure on both sides. But I'm really hoping that with these proactive strategies, with these strength-based approaches, you don't need to get to that point, right? That you as a parent and as a teacher can work together to find the strategy and the common ground that will work for your child, the child, right? So if you have questions about that, let me know. But yes, I really am aiming for that strength-based approach. Let me go ahead and share another story with you. If you're tired or whatnot, I'll check in with that. But Let me share another story, and let's see. This one really warms my heart. A mom reached out to me because her son was constantly being labeled as irresponsible, forgetful. Again, we probably might be able to relate to some of these labels. He was always leaving homework at home, losing his jacket, forgetting what he needed for class. The teacher was frustrated, and so was the mom. We worked on reframing this as an opportunity to build his independence and problem-solving skills. At the next parent-teacher meeting, right, the next time they met, the mom shared how her son had learned to create his own morning checklist at home and was even setting reminders in his tablet. The teacher got on board and decided to make checklists available for all students, not just him. So this is an amazing, right? What works for one children, you don't have to just keep to that one child. It might work for many children. So she also started recognizing his small wins, like remembering his pencil or turning in an assignment on time. So I'm going to pause my story. We talked about that a lot, right? That these children often hear no, 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 or you're doing it wrong, or you're messing up, or not the right way. They hear negative, negative, negative so many times, way more than the neurotypical kids. We need to boost that. We need to flip that. We need to change that. And I'm passionate about that. We need to change it into more positive. So we need to get the positive in there. Say, yes, you remembered your pencil. Yes, you remembered your homework. Wow, you remembered your jacket. That's amazing. You used your checklist 3 times today. Let's try to use it 5 times tomorrow. So over the few weeks, his confidence skyrocketed. He even began helping his classmates stay organized, turning in what was once a struggle into a leadership opportunity. And so that's why collaboration matters. It's about finding creative ways to help kids shine in their own unique way. That's why I want to do this. That's why it's so important. That's why when kids and parents and families come to me, I love that I can help them change this, shift this, and create a more harmonious, peaceful environment at home and at school. Help the chaos from chaos to calm. Help everyone feel successful, right? That the frustration is over. You don't have to be frustrated. There are ways. And one of the biggest ways is to change this label and start seeing everyone in a strengths-based approach, right? Everyone, parents, teachers, children, switching that and flipping that and starting to have the empathy and that compassion for each other's experiences, especially those kids that haven't learned how to advocate for themselves yet and aren't quite sure how to manage themselves. So important. So important. So I love it. I hope you can tell, but yes, it's so important that we really look at these kids and everyone from a strength-based lens, not the negative lens. Okay. How are we doing? I am seeing that the chats are quiet tonight. That's okay. I love talking to myself. I hope you guys are watching the replay of this. If you'd love to get more information, I would love to talk with you further. I hope this is helping those of you that might be watching the replay. And if the chats are quiet, I'm just going to keep talking to myself. And you can see how quirky I am. All right. I wanted to just those of you that haven't been on the last 2 lives or didn't hear the latest episodes of my podcast, you should. But if you haven't, oh, and shout out to everyone. I passed 100 downloads recently. I'm on my 10th episode now. So I just value all of you that have downloaded the Neuroquirky Nexus podcast. And I hope I'm helping you. So thank you. Thank you to the 100 of you who are out there. All right, so some of you didn't hear what I had said about maybe flipping some of these labels. So I just want to go back and talk about a few of the labels that we've talked about on the last two lives and the episodes. But the PDFs of these are in the show notes of the podcast. So go ahead and check them out. But let me just shout out a few of them here. So, for example, we have forgetful. Right? Forgetful. You could flip that. Oh, she's so forgetful. She forgets everything into their creative problem solver, right? They may not be remembering what you want them to remember, but in their own mind, they're solving problems in a creative way. Trust me, I was there. I was the one that was constantly being called forgetful, but yet I was thinking of it in a different way. The way my brain worked was remembering things in a different way. It might have looked forgetful to one person, but to me, I was just creatively solving the problem in another way. But you can use things like alarms and checklists and highlight ways that they can, the forgetful person can come up with creative problems solving solutions. So that is one way to help with that label, forgetful. Yeah. Let's talk about a few more. How about, let me see what else we have here. Ooh, how about stubborn? Stubborn. I've seen a lot of parents reach out and talk about, oh, my child is stubborn or defiant or hard to work with, right? Or, I'm pulling my hair out, or the chaos, or I just want to scream. This is what I want to talk to you about. If you flip the label, you change the way you get upset about things. If you flip the label from stubborn or frustrating or defiant to determined or committed, if you start looking at your child as that, yeah, they might be committed to that tantrum for sure, right? But if you start to see it that way, it almost just takes all that weight off of you. Like, oh, they're just committed to this. I'm going to step away. I'm going to walk away. I'll let them finish, and then I'll come back. If they engage me, I don't have to engage back. They're committed to their thing. I don't have to be committed to it, right? They're determined to have their way. I don't have to. I'll just step back and just acknowledge, yep, I see that's what you're doing. And if you flip it, it takes that pressure off, isn't it? Isn't that amazing? So you could even say, wow, you really have a lot of persistence. You're really persevering on that tantrum, right? So maybe you could flip that reacting the way you're doing, and why don't you just try to persevere in something else? Why don't you just try to go run around the house 5 times, outside the house in the yard 5 times? Or why don't you use that, what you're doing with the tantrum or the frustration, and really persevere with something else? Can you change the way you channel that energy? And yes, I'd love to go into more detail with you on this. In fact, little secret, I am going to do a live workshop. I'm aiming for January 25th to do a live workshop. It's a Saturday, and I'm thinking about doing one in the morning and one in the afternoon so that we can talk about this. And we can really, the working title I have for it right now is The ADHD Parent's Secret Weapon, One Simple Tool to Stop Feeling Like You're Failing and Create Lasting Change. That's my working title, but you get the point. I want to help you create this lasting change. I want to work with this. This is my secret tool. So if you're listening, you're getting the secret. All right. Let's do a couple more for teachers. That's more, I just talked about the parent hat, but what about teacher hat? Real quick, I just want to check over in the chats. Anything happening here? No. Okay. So that lets me continue. Yay. All right. So the teachers, what are some ways we help teachers? So forgetful, let me change it. How about, well, one that bothers teachers a lot, right? They're up out of their seat, they're wiggling around, they're fidgeting, they can't sit still. What do, right? You want them to be paying attention. You want them to be eyes glued on you, focused on you, taking notes. I don't know, the ideal student, right? But we know that's not true. Many people learn in many different ways. So a student that's constantly moving around, right? And you say, sit still and focus, whatever you might say to them. What if you flip that and say something like, wow, I see you have a lot of energy. Why don't you use that energy to, right, write your notes? Or two, why don't you use that energy to help me with classroom materials? Or use that energy to organize a game when we go to recess. We're about to go to recess, so can you use that energy? Right? And I'd love to talk with you about this in the workshop, go into this. So how can you use that energy? And I'm a big believer in tools as well. So we've talked about chair bands in the last one. I love chair bands. So you could even say, use energy, kick on your chair band 20 times. Or why don't you just use energy? Let's stand up against the wall and do some wall push-ups. Or you can use that energy in the back of the room. Why don't you stand up and you can move in the back of the room? In fact, I'll set up a standing desk for you and you can work there while you stand and march in place, or whatever the case may be, right? So I have lots of ideas for you. I really, really encourage the changing. All right, getting close on time. I just want to do one more. How about, here's a good one for parents and teachers, right? Impulsive, right? Especially children with ADHD just want to interrupt all the time. Just interrupt because I have to get the idea out. Otherwise, they're going to forget it because their brain will be in 20 different places by the time it's their turn to talk. So what do we do about interrupting? What do we do about that impulsivity, right? So we could reframe it and say, wow, you're really eager to contribute. I love that you want to contribute. I think that's amazing. Could you write it down real quick what you want to say, make a note or draw a picture of it, what you want to say, and I'm going to come right back to you. In fact, I'll let you lead. You can start the next question, right? Whatever, right? If that helps. So you can even do popcorn sessions like, I'm going to come back to you after this, and then I'll pop back to you. So get ready. Hold on to what you're going to say. I'll be right back. So that really helps. And at home, you can, the same thing. I love that you want to say something so important during, Sarah's time, but she's talking right now. Just make a note of it and right, keep a little notepad there, make a note of it and back to you. I promise. You got to get back to them though, for sure. But really seeing them as eager, not, what did I say, even interrupting, not impulsive in that way, verbally, right? Emotionally, we can talk about impulsive that way, but eager to talk. Right? They're quick thinking. They have so much they want to say and share. So look at it that way. What a wonderful way to look at things, right? Okay, I guess I've talked enough. I feel like I've gone on and on. So I want to, am I freezing on Insta? It looks like I'm freezing. Maybe not. So I want to end this time together with just a call to action. If you could please just put any questions you have on wherever this is going to show up. Hopefully on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook, and maybe LinkedIn will kick in. And if you are watching on the replay, please just put questions. I still want to answer them. But I do want to tell you that I have a book. I have a book. Actually, I wonder if I can just get the page up real quick. I've written a little ebook about working with your child's teacher, right? I can't type and talk at the same time. So working with your child's teacher and having parent-teacher collaboration. So I would love to give you that free ebook. Please just let me know. And it comes with, let's see, I'm going to try to share here on my screen. I am going to try to share. I don't know if it's working or not. Here it is. So normally I sell this for not that expensive, but I would like you to have it for free. And so it is the Collaboration Secret is what it's called, how to unlock your neurodivergent teen's potential through parent-teacher teamwork, and a couple bonuses you get in there with email templates. And if you want to meet with me one-on-one for a quick call to talk more about this. So normally I sell it for a small little price to get the word out there. But if you would like it for free, I will send you a code, a coupon code. So please just let me know if you would like this for to learn about your child and your teachers and how you can work together, right? So how to work with your child's teacher. So really unpack, overcoming uncertainty, securing the support, partnerships, how to help your child thrive in school. I forget how long it is. It's probably about 20 to 30 pages long. So it's not a huge read. You can read it quickly and you can flip to the sections and become just the sections that you really need, right? All right. So I would love to send that to you. Thank you for coming to my Q&A today. I hope I'm filling you with resources and successful stories from my experience as a teacher, as a mom. And I really support all of the hard work that we do as teachers and we do as coaches and parents. And I want to be here to support you as well. So I look forward to the workshop I want to do on the 25th, but I look forward to any questions you have. Please feel free to just let me see them when you get this video. All right. Have a wonderful evening, everyone, and keep it quirky. Bye-bye.